Hi, my name is Jessica Rosenstrau, and this is Modular 1 for EDL 856. So, a little bit about me. I've been a military wife for almost 22 years. We have four kiddos, two girls, two boys. You can see their picture right here. They range in age from college, high school, middle school, and all the way down to elementary school. So, I've got them all over the place. I earned my bachelor's from Purdue University in elementary education. I went on to get my master's from Fort Hays State University as a reading specialist. I've taught in third grade, fifth grade, and sixth grade, and I was an instructional coach as well. And while I was an instructional coach, that was when I decided to come back and get my admin license. So I am finishing up. This is my last class before my practicum. So I'm very excited, the possibilities of what to do. We moved to Georgia over the summer. And so I decided to take a year off, just kind of focus on the kids and my husband and finish this license up. And so when I talk about what I've done, it's more what I did last year and in the past 3 years when I was working at my last school. So that's what I will, when I'm talking about things, that's what I'll relate it to. So looking at what we read and the three articles and different forms of communication that I've used in the past. So for my students, I use a lot of Google Classroom. The last 3 years, that's where I put all my assignments. That's where the kids can chat with one another, talk about things. That's just where I keep everything. When we went virtually in the spring, we had to do Google Meets. The district required that we meet with the children on a daily basis. And so in sixth grade, we were departmentalized. So I did a 30-minute block every morning with them. And then in the afternoons, I would have a help session again, 30 minutes. And we did it through Google Meets. I also do emails. I email with the parents. I email students. I really encourage them starting in fifth grade to take ownership of their learning. And so when they have questions, I really promote them and push them to emailing me, not have mom and dad email me. And so not only do I email the parents constantly, but I'm also emailing students oftentimes, keeping them, holding them accountable. We also, our district requires, our building actually required weekly newsletters. And from a parent standpoint, yes, oftentimes you get overwhelmed with emails, but I love knowing what's going on in my children's lives and what their assignments are. And they're not always great about writing it in their agendas. So the weekly newsletter I just have found to be so helpful as a parent. And the parents also loved it because it would break it down in sixth grade. Each subject area teacher, they would write a little blurb about what they were doing for the week. So for me, I'd write about the standards we were teaching and then the assignments and then the upcoming huge big projects and the due dates and stuff like that. So the parents could really keep track of that. They also could access their kids' Google Classroom accounts and see the missing work and stuff. So those are some ways I keep in contact with the parents. Of course, we would, I made phone calls to parents all the time. At the beginning of the year, my building required that you make phone calls to all the parents, reaching out, introducing yourself. So I would start the year off by introducing myself with phone calls. And then throughout the year, sometimes it would just be a quick touch in. Hey, I just wanted to let you know, Johnny had a great day today. Or, Johnny was a little chatty in class today. Let's work on, can you help me with this? So, I didn't always make phone calls just if a child was misbehaving. I also like to make phone calls and touch base with parents just to say a reward of some sort, give a pat on the back. Of course, other ways we communicated was conferences. The district I worked in required 2 conferences, a fall and a spring. The building I was in, she would have us do fall conferences with every parent. And then spring conferences were just for those that the kiddos that just may be struggling, need a little extra boost, or if we were thinking summer school or something like that, or if the parent requested, we would do a conference with them in the spring. I also threw in here meet and greets. So that's when the kids come in right before school, drop off their school supplies and kind of get to see their teachers, see who's in their classroom. But that's a quick, just, fast, hey, how you doing? 5 minutes to see the kids as well as see the parents. And then open house was when it was parents only, and they would come in and sit with us for about 20 minutes, and you'd present what you're going over and everything. And so that again was just another way that parents were learning about us. And then we would take the PowerPoint presentations that we did for the open house, and we would email those to the parents, just so if they couldn't make it, they could at least see the notes. I also threw in here at the beginning of the year, we had to do phone calls for the parents, but I would write postcards to my students introducing myself and, saying who I was. And then the last thing, I added Screencastify. So when we went virtually, the district, they encouraged us to use some sort of video recording system. And so we would do Screencastify to record lessons and post them in Google Classroom. So looking at the articles we read and thinking about the importance of introductions and how it impacts my professional life, there were some things I took away from the 3 articles. Remembering to be personable and relatable. I really like the storytelling and remembering that it sets me apart from others. Be reflective and adjust how I introduce myself as needed is key. Just constantly thinking about making that good impression and tweaking it, can have a big impact. Also, the importance to let others know why I'm here and what I believe in. Again, that making it relatable, trying to connect with others, that's key. Thinking about this as I move into becoming a building leader, I really, that why really stuck out to me. Why, remembering to tell people not only just who you are, not just your job, but why you do what you do. And I think that follows into, thinking about those professional developments, the staff developments, things like that. Remembering to tell your staff why you're doing something. I've taught in so many different states and had a lot of different administrators, and looking back and thinking about the different ones I've had, the ones that have always impressed me and that I've loved to work with, they always have the why. They always had kind of an open door policy, and they were very personable. So from the moment you met them, they really were welcoming, and they weren't, the showing the vulnerability. They definitely had no problem showing their vulnerability to their staff and stuff, as well as to respect others. And then this, don't forget to smile. I just think that's important as a building leader to keep in mind. How this relates to our standard, I really thought this is like spot on with the standard. So we had to create and present our thoughts and views on introductions to others through the use of Google Slides in the video, which goes right along with the standard. Thinking about how we communicate to our students, staff, parents, and communities, and discussing how we do that, as well as reflect the importance of introductions and how to handle those as administrators. So I thought this completely went along with our standard. Thinking about how it's relevant to me right now, I really truly believe first impressions are made immediately when we introduce ourselves to others. We all know this. As a military wife, I'm constantly moving around and people are moving in and out of my life. And so you're always introducing yourself. And so it's being able to recognize the need, reflecting on your introductions and making sure you're being personable and open. And then relating that as a teacher, I think it's so important that I show not only my compassion and empathy, but also my desire to help every child be successful in my classroom. And that applies to making sure I show that through to my students, my teammates, the staff that I work with, my administrators, and definitely those parents. And then thinking about the articles and remembering that it's important to, it's okay to be vulnerable and to share my life, not just my job, but by sharing part of me and why I am the way I am. It helps create those connections to my parents and other staff members, as well as my kiddos that are in my classroom. And then thinking about reflecting back on all of this and thinking forward as a building school leader, how will this influence? I really like the second article with Karen Gross, where she was discussing the various medical personnel, and then how they introduced themselves to her, and then how she would introduce herself to other people. And I kind of, I totally connected with that is a military spouse, because I'm constantly, that you're always changing doctors, and thinking about the different doctors I've had, it was such a connection. And then thinking about the administrators, whether that be an administrator I worked for or one of my children's administrators, and the importance of those first impressions and that introduction, it really sets the tone. And so I think it's important that when I move into one of those leadership roles, to remember that I need to be on my A game, that I, with everybody, when it's parents I'm meeting for the first time, parents that are looking at my building, maybe, their child might attend the building and thinking about that, and that they're not only going to be creating opinions about me, but they're going to be creating opinions about the school and the environment that their child is in. And so it's really important that I need to be mindful when introducing myself. And then following along with that, thinking about my staff, not only the first time I meet them, but every time we sit down for a professional development staff meeting, making sure that they understand the why we're doing what we're doing is key. And, just making those connections to the staff and my students, and remembering to share who I am and why I am the way I am. So I'm really looking forward to this class and getting to work with everybody. Thank you.